Hello readers, I'm Amy and today we are doing the Nosy Librarian book tag. I was tagged in this by Hillary from Melted Books. The original tag was created by Stripped Cover Lit. I will leave that linked down below. I love these questions. They're just not your typical booktube-esque questions, and I love it. Watching Hillary's video was a treat. So let's go ahead and get started. First question, what has been the most influential library in your life? I don't know how to answer that. I've had a lot of influential libraries. I always checked out a lot of books from my middle school library, from my high school library. My high school library is where I found my first copy of Dracula, actually. So that was pretty influential. I've really been loving having a card from the Brooklyn Library. You can get it for $50 and get like a year subscription rental thing. It's amazing. It has so many more books than any library in Montana. And just having so many more books at my fingertips this year has been amazing. I don't know. Oh, you know what? My grandma's library. Very influential. My grandma was the one who got me into reading as a kid. She had this set of books that she kept in her office that were mostly really old fairy tales that were like school books whenever she was a kid, and I loved reading those fairy tales. That, I think, would be my most influential library. Number 2, honest assessment. What will they title your biography? I mean, I don't know, like, I could maybe come up with titles for memoirs because I've had a lot of, like, set times in my life where things have happened, but my whole life has been rather eventful, and I don't know what do you guys think? What would they title my biography? A Crazy Life? But that would be a really boring title. I'm terrible at coming up with titles on the spot. I'm gonna be here for a little bit thinking about this one. What about Glitter and Titanium? That would be interesting. The titanium for the rod in my spine, and the glitter could be representative of the 6 years of dance that I was in, my love of crafting and art, my love of making my eyes sparkly these days. That would be a good one. Glitter and Titanium. That will be the title of my biography. It doesn't really sound like a biography title, but honestly, biography titles can get pretty boring. So we're mixing it up. We're making it interesting. Number 3, the story from your life that you most hope your librarian never finds out. I don't have a particular story that I hope my librarian never figures out, but I do have a secret that I hope my librarian never figures out. Whenever you read a book and you're opening up the pages and you see crumbs in the crease, that was my fault. I apologize. I thought everyone ate while reading, and then I joined BookTube, and you have these questions in these tags like, do you eat while reading? And people are like, no, I don't eat while reading. And I'm like, so all of those little crumbs in between the pages of the books are my fault, and I am deeply sorry. But also, I'm not going to stop snacking while I read. Question number 4, what is your favorite word? My favorite word, I think, changes depending on where I'm at in life and what I'm experiencing at that moment. Lately, my favorite word has been periwinkle. I don't know when my mind started focusing on that, but I've got kind of this light bluish periwinkle sweater, and I was looking at blue eyeshadows, and I'm finding the ones that I really like are the like indigo periwinkle eyeshadows, and they're actually like a pretty difficult blue shade to find in eyeshadows. And it also reminds me of reading Handle with Care by Jodi Picoult, and you have this girl with a brittle bone disease, and so she spends a lot of time reading trivia books on the couch. And the trivia that I remember the best is that the 1 billionth Crayola crayon was periwinkle. And lately, periwinkle is just a word that I really like. It's cute. It's sparkly. I don't know. Periwinkle. The winkle part. That's so cute. I don't know. Random. But this book tag is random, so. Number 5, 3 weird things of which you are afraid, and 1 way which you would prefer not to die. I mean, there's a lot of ways I would prefer not to die. So 3 weird things of which you are afraid. I am afraid to have my feet exposed when watching a horror movie. I don't know what it is with my feet. It's like if my feet are out and about in the world without any socks, without any blankets, and I'm watching something scary, it's like, I guess it reminds me of whenever you're a kid and you think there's something under the bed and you don't want to step down on the floor next to your bed because something will grab your ankle. I think that's kind of where that comes from. I was the kid who was afraid that there was something under my bed because it was all dark and shadowy under there. So I cannot have my feet exposed while watching a horror movie because it's like something's going to grab me. And on that note, number 2, I cannot have my feet exposed while I'm sleeping for similar reasons. Not that I'm really afraid of the dark anymore, but like there's all this cool air and all these noises and stuff when you're sleeping, and I don't want my feet exposed outside of the blanket. It says weird things of which you are afraid, and that's 2 of them. 3rd weird thing that I am afraid of. Lately, I don't know, this is gonna sound weird, but that's what this tag is about. Being successful, I guess. Like in my personal life, like I have a lot of stuff going on, and among those things, I am hoping to be able to do more artwork in 2021, but in that, like, I'm afraid because what if I'm not good at it, but what if I am good at it? And then the better I get at it, the farther I can fall. I have a lot of anxiety, and I think that feeling is part of why I've been so anxious lately with all the changes that I've had going on, because I am going to focus and lean more on my artwork in 2021, and that could also set me up for failure. And unfortunately, that's where my brain goes. I don't think about all the good times that I could have. I think of all of the rough spots that could be coming up. And 1 way in which I would prefer not to die. There are a lot of ways. I'm going to say torture. That's not, I think, the typical answer that you would get, because you're thinking like, oh, this person doesn't want to die from drowning. This person doesn't want to get shot in the chest. But I've been reading the Poppy War series, and there's a lot of war crimes and torture, and I would prefer not to have my limbs individually removed and have my eyeballs popped out. Like, I don't want to die like that. It's messy and it's painful and it's torturous, and the quicker my death can be, the better. Thanks. Your favorite book as a grade schooler? I don't know that I had a single favorite book, but my favorite series was definitely Hank the Cowdog. I was reading Hank the Cowdog constantly. I was always checking out the new books when they came out. I probably owned 40 of them by the time I was in high school, and I ended up sending them off to my cousin because he was getting to that age where I think he really would have enjoyed them. Hank the Cowdog, the series, was by far my favorite set of books as a middle schooler. That dog was always getting into trouble, and you had Pete the cat, who was very horrible and pretty accurate, honestly. Please leave a comment down below if you've read Hank the Cowdog, because I never hear anyone talking about it, and that Hank the Cowdog was my childhood. Number 7, what have your interactions with the police been like? Because, you know, that's relevant to BookTube. My interactions have been interesting. I'm a very forgetful person. Very forgetful. I'm the person who forgets to turn the oven off when they're done cooking, or who turns on the wrong burner on the stove. I stress my husband out a little bit sometimes, and I cannot drive a car that does not have an automatic headlight setting. I can't, because I will forget to turn on the headlights, because I have been pulled over so many times for headlights and for not turning on my headlights, sometimes for having a headlight out. There was one time back home when I was driving, I turned on my car in the winter, like right before I got out of work, because I wanted to heat up my car a little bit, and someone's like, oh, you have a headlight out, you could get pulled over for that. And I'm like, oh, well, I better drive carefully then. And I am pulling up to a stoplight, and I see the cop car behind me, and I'm like, great. And so they pull me over in the next block, and they're like, hey, you have a headlight out, you need to get this fixed, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm done with that interaction. I pull out, I drive 2 more blocks and get pulled over by a different cop. And then the first cop pulls in behind the second cop to let him know that he already pulled me over for the headlight. And then it was like a week later when I'm at work at the department store and I'm checking out this guy with all of his items and everything, and he's like, so you get that headlight fixed? I like froze, and I looked up at him and I could just feel the horror, like, oh no, this is the guy that pulled me over. Most of my interactions with the police have been due to headlights. I can't drive a car that doesn't have automatic headlights. It's just not worth it. Also, why would you have a car that doesn't have automatic headlights that was built after, like, 2010? Why would you do that? I take it as a personal affront. All-time favorite book cover. I'm really bad at giving solid answers to questions. I have lots of favorite book covers. I would say my favorite style of book cover would definitely be anything with gold foil. I want to read it if it has gold foil on it. Whether or not it's a good book, if it has gold foil, it's just pretty. Now, actually, looking at my shelves right now, I think there is one book. Hold on. All right, favorite book cover goes to Grady Hendrix and My Best Friend's Exorcism. I am a sucker for 80s movies, and Grady Hendrix is a very good, almost like 80s style author, and this cover is so reminiscent of those old VHS tapes that I would watch as a kid. And this cover is like nostalgia. Not that I was born in the 80s, but the VHS cover and the colors and how stylized it is. I love stuff like this. I'm going to say this is my favorite book cover right now. How many places have you lived? I'm going to say 15 places if you count addresses. Cities, 5. I'm really over moving. I hate moving. I just recently moved. It sucked. And tag 11 booktubers. I don't know 11 booktubers at this time of the morning, but if you want to do the tag because it's fun and random. Also, my battery's about to die, so please like, subscribe, be my friend on social media. I will see all of you in my next video. Bye, friends.